Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Heartbeat, your daily Inter Miami podcast. And today we are talking about 7 potential breakout stars for the 2024 Leagues Cup. As we remember, Inter Miami, the defending champions of this tournament, went on that incredible 7-game run, and in large part due to Lionel Messi's arrival and some reinforcements, but also a couple players that were already on the team stepped up in a major way in that tournament and clearly defined themselves as breakout stars. Robert Taylor was incredible. Really, since the moment Messi joined the team, Robert Taylor stepped his game up in a major way. In that tournament, he had 4 goals, 3 assists, had some incredible moments, right? That little lob over the top to Lionel Messi where he got the assist in the Orlando City game was incredible. Drake Callender, another absolute breakout star. He was incredible against Cruz Azul. He stopped a penalty against Atlanta, 2 clean sheets, 2 wins in penalties, and of course he won the final with his game-winning penalty and then penalty save on Elliot Panico, I apologize. And then, of course, Lionel Messi, who shows up in the second half of that first game against Cruz Azul, and we're not sure what to expect, and he absolutely lights the tournament on fire. 10 goals and an assist in 7 games. He was incredible, scored in the final, penalties going 90 minutes. It was just an unbelievable performance by Lionel Messi, an unbelievable performance by the entire team. But these 3 in particular really stood out. And I think if Inter Miami is going to repeat as Leagues Cup champions, they're going to need a similar breakout performance from at least 1 or 2 players in this tournament. Lionel Messi, as far as we know, is not going to be available for this tournament. I'm not going to include Robert Taylor and Drake Callender because they had their breakouts last year, and I think if they're excellent again this year, it will just be sort of the norm. So I picked 7 different players from this Inter Miami roster to talk about as potential breakout candidates. And I want to start with Luis Suarez. Last year, Lionel Messi showed up and he was incredible, and he went on this incredible goal-scoring run, and that's why Inter Miami was able to blow out a few teams, but also why they were able to keep up when we were struggling defensively, right? I think back to that FC Dallas game. We really struggled to contain FC Dallas. We gave up 4 goals. One of them was an own goal by Robert Taylor, but a forced error, I think. And so we needed the overwhelming firepower and goal-scoring ability of the team that we had assembled last summer in order to overcome that. Luis Suarez gives us that goal-scoring threat, that ability to score goals in bunches. I remember back to the DC United game earlier this year. There was no Lionel Messi, but that didn't stop Luis Suarez from coming off the bench and scoring 2 goals to win that game 3-1. This is a player with 24 team trophies over the course of his career, and so he is no stranger to winning. He is absolutely going to have a winner's mentality, and I would be shocked if he is not spiritually leading this team towards another championship, if that is in this team's future. He's tied for the lead in goals scored this season with 12. He's second on the team in goal contributions with 17, and so this player, regardless of the competition level. And listen, we're going to play some Mexican teams in these first couple games and potentially even in the next round. And so we're going to have to expect our best players to contribute. And Luis Suarez is a guy that will not shy away from a talent step up when we play these Mexican clubs. He has all the talent he needs to be a breakout player in this tournament. Number 2, Matías Rojas. Listen, the talent is there. He's already given us some really memorable moments. Right when he first arrived in Inter Miami, he had that incredible long-range shot from just outside a few yards outside the penalty box against the New York Red Bulls that sparked our comeback, and eventually we won that game 6-2. He had an incredible free kick shot from real distance against CF Montreal. And it was in those first couple games we thought, man, this is a real player. He's been a little more quiet lately. He earned that trip to the Copa America with Paraguay, but it's been a while since we've seen him be that incredible difference maker he was in those first couple games, that incredible goal scorer that he was in those first couple games. And he had a really good game leading up to the Leagues Cup last Saturday night against the Chicago Fire. He scored a goal, and so maybe he's about to kick on and be a rising star or a breakout star in this tournament. And if he can be that, if he can go be a guy that finds 6 goal contributions over the next couple games over the course of a 7-game tournament, that would definitely qualify as a breakout star. Another player that I think is building into this tournament is Federico Redondo. A pair of really good games over the last week, or the last 2 games that Inter Miami played. His very best game as an Inter Miami player came against Toronto FC last Wednesday evening. And then he followed it up with a solid game against the Chicago Fire. So this is a player that is coming into this tournament with some confidence. He's one of the most expensive midfield signings in MLS history. And so this is a player with the talent. He's a player that can come and deliver on exactly what we brought him to be. And that's to be a difference maker in the midfield in big games, right? He hasn't played in a game of this level of consequence since his injury. I know he played a few of those CONCACAF Champions Cup games against Nashville, but he wasn't available for those Monterrey games. And he, in the MLS games he's played since, it hasn't been of this level of consequence, I don't think. Now we have this step up in competition against Liga MX. And unlike Luis Suarez, who you feel confident can step up and thrive against a better competition because you know he has the quality and the class to do that, I think there's a little bit of a question mark with Federico Redondo if he can step up. And that's not me questioning it. It's me saying we've never seen it before. And so is that going to bring the best out of him, or is he going to shrink in front of the moment? To me, that's one of the most interesting questions of this tournament. We're going to play Puebla on Saturday, and Federico Redondo is going to start in that game. We're going to play Tigres the following weekend, and Federico Redondo is going to start in that game. And so that's a step up in quality from much of what Inter Miami's faced over the last couple months, and especially in the games that Redondo has played in, especially that Tigres game. And so will his talent, will his quality shine through? Will it elevate when we play a higher level of competition, or will it shrink down and become a little unobvious when we take that step up into a major tournament like the Leagues Cup? Number 4, David Martinez. Listen, we just signed him. I don't know if he's going to play Saturday. I don't know if he's 90 minutes fit. I would imagine he's probably not 90 minutes fit because he hasn't played 90 minutes in quite some time, but he should be available. Inter Miami delayed announcing his signing for almost a week after he got to Miami and was doing his medical and preparing. And I imagine that's because they were just working on the work permit for him to be eligible to play. Now that that's all been solved, he should be available on Saturday. Again, I don't expect him to start because I don't think he's 90 minutes fit. He's going to have to work into that. But if this is a player that can come off the bench in the first game, maybe come off the bench in the second game, and then become a starter for Inter Miami in the knockout rounds, he is absolutely a player that you feel could change the face of what Inter Miami does defensively. Listen, since the day we traded Kamal Miller, we have been crying out for a center back. We feel really good about it. Yes, Nico Frede started to elevate to that level at times this year, but it wasn't consistent, and it was a sort of brief run between when he got there and when he got his injury that ended his season. And so it's been a long time since Inter Miami had a consistent run from a player that they felt great about in the back line, and especially one that can partner well and effectively with Toto Aviles. Can David Martinez be that guy? Can he set Inter Miami up to be stout defensively by just adding a talent in the back that has the athleticism to play at the high line, has the athleticism to get back, and has the awareness to be stout when pressed up against his own goalkeeper? This is the question. Listen, very few of us have ever seen David Martinez actually play a full 90-minute game. It's been a number of years since he's done that. And so when it happened, he was reportedly very good and was a bright, promising young player, but it's been a very long time. Is Martinez going to come in fresh and ready to dominate? Is he going to be very rusty? Is he going to be slow off the ball? Is he going to be ready for the physicality and athleticism of the MLS game? We will find out. But to me, it is so interesting because if he is just a talent above all these other players that he's on the pitch with, he could be a breakout star. And if not, well, we'll learn a lot about David Martinez in this tournament either way. Number 5, I'm going with Ian Frey because he has been an absolute spark plug every time he's been on the pitch. Ian Frey, as you may remember, tore his ACL in the first half of the first game of the Leagues Cup, and so he wasn't really available for that Leagues Cup run last season. And yes, after that first game, Messi held up his jersey, and I'm sure he was already at the hospital getting checked out, but Ian Frey was a breakout star for Inter Miami when he got healthy last season, and it ended right before the Leagues Cup. And now he's gotten healthy as we are entering the Leagues Cup. If he can be a player that plays multiple games in this tournament and starts multiple games, especially at that right back spot, oh man, he could be a guy that everyone is talking about around the league. Last year, during the Leagues Cup, Inter Miami became the center of attention because of Lionel Messi and Sergio Busquets and Jordi Alba. But I think what was lost in that was the whole league was paying attention to the entire tournament. I think on a week-to-week basis, you may pay attention to the teams at the top of the table because they affect how you're going to finish, how the Supporter Shield race is going. But for the vast majority of teams in the MLS, a lot of fans aren't really paying attention. They just want their team to do well and to be successful. But when it comes to tournament time, I think the entire fan base of both Liga MX and MLS comes to the table and really pays attention to what's happening around the tournament in a way that doesn't really happen during the regular season. And so if Ian Frey can be that guy that steps in and has an immediate impact, which we've seen him do virtually every single time he stepped on the field this season, there will be a lot of eyeballs paying attention to him and to that. And so if he can do that, if he can score a couple goals, provide a couple assists, it will be hugely impactful for Inter Miami. And if Inter Miami can go on a run, I think Ian Frey is going to be a huge part of that because this is a fearless kid that has no problem getting forward and having a positive impact on the game. Number 6, Julian Gressel. He's been on a tremendous run of form lately. He's got 7 goal contributions in his last 8 games, and he's really found his form. He's really found his spot on this team since Lionel Messi went to the Copa America. And so while we aren't expecting Lionel Messi in this tournament, we can at least feel confident that Julian Gressel is going to step in at that right wing spot and just give us not what Messi gave us, which was 2 goal contributions per game, but Gressel is good for probably 1 goal contribution a game if the last 6 weeks are any indication. If he does that for the rest of this tournament, he's going to be seen as a star. He did play for the Columbus Crew in last year's Leagues Cup. I looked it up. He did have an assist in their 3 games, but this is his chance to be a locked-in starter for a team that has a real chance to win this tournament. And so for Julian Gressel to come into this tournament in great form, having found his spot on this team, feeling like he can be a positive contributor, whipping in those balls, waiting for Inter Miami to set him into a good position so that he can be a dangerous player. All of those things are coming together at the right time for Julian Gressel. And so if he can continue that as we enter this tournament, as we hopefully progress deep into this tournament, he can be a breakout star and sort of regain a little bit of that shine that he has had for most of his MLS career and that he's been regaining of late. And then lastly, Yannick Bright. Listen, Yannick Bright is possibly my favorite player on this team, and so I don't think I could go on a list like this without adding Yannick Bright. But we aren't going to have Lionel Messi. We are going to have Luis Suarez, but we're not going to be at our very best offensively like we were for this tournament last season. Robert Taylor's not quite in the same form. And so if we're going to go deep in this tournament, it's going to have to involve some defense. It's going to have to involve us being sound. And listen, beyond the first 2 games, it is elimination soccer. And that means you have to start by being really good defensively. And this team is significantly better when Yannick Bright is in that midfield. He is always in the right spot, breaking up passes. He's good in the air, intercepting balls, tackling players, tracking runners out of the midfield. He is just that true holding midfielder that Inter Miami has really, really needed. And he's gotten better almost all the time. And his last game against the Chicago Fire, he was absolutely outstanding. And I think Inter Miami gave him the man of the match award or icon of the match award because of his work in that midfield and what he can do defensively. He is so good that Tata Martino has moved Sergio Busquets out of his natural position into the back line of late because he wants to accommodate putting Yannick Bright in that midfield and having Yannick Bright on the pitch. I think he does a tremendous job of helping guys like Federico Redondo, Matias Rojas, Sergio Busquets, Julian Gressel by allowing them to play in a way that maximizes their talent. So he's the type of player that makes other people better. Like I mentioned with Ian Frey, this tournament is one where more people will have eyeballs on Inter Miami than on a regular basis. And so this is Yannick Bright's opportunity to play like he's played. Just keep doing what you're doing, but there will be more eyeballs watching him and appreciating what he's really doing for this Inter Miami team because he has been incredible. Guys, those are 7 players that I think could be breakout stars of this tournament. There's a couple I didn't mention that I should just give my honorable mentions to. I don't expect to see Lionel Messi in this tournament. Sergio Busquets and Jordi Alba felt a little cheap, but I do think there's an excellent opportunity for Jordi Alba to just really take this tournament by the scruff of the neck and make it his. Guys like Benjamin Kramaski and Benjamin Kramaski and Diego Gomez are currently at the Olympics, but if their team, the U.S. Olympic team or the Paraguay Olympic team, is eliminated in the group stage, those 2 players will be back for the Leagues Cup knockout stage run. And so either one of those players you could see coming back into the midfield and being an absolute weapon, especially Diego Gomez. But it's just a matter of if they progress very far into the Olympic tournament, how many games in this Leagues Cup will they actually play? Those are all questions that are up for debate. And so ultimately it will come down to the 7 players that I mentioned. If we can get 3 or 4 standout tournaments from those players, I think Inter Miami has an excellent opportunity to repeat as Leagues Cup champions. And listen, this team at the start of the season, they talked about winning 4 trophies. Yes, 1 is already off the table, but that doesn't mean they don't want to win this trophy. I know people talk about, rest up for the Supporter Shield, rest up for MLS Cup. No, this team wants to win trophies, and that's exactly what they're going to be trying to do. And they're going to feel like going into every single game, they have an excellent opportunity to win. Guys, the tournament starts tomorrow night. I will be back to preview Puebla. As always, I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.